Thank you for visiting Graphene Business Law. If you're visiting us on YouTube or watching this video on YouTube, go ahead and click the red subscribe button down below. If you're an entrepreneur, small or medium business size owner or operator, this will allow you to stay up to date with all of our posts, which aim to be relevant to your legal areas of interest. Certainly you can subscribe if you're not an entrepreneur, small or medium-sized business or owner, but the content of this channel is particularly useful to those that are. My name is Pamela Matani, and I'm a business lawyer, and I'm also the founder and principal lawyer here at Graphene. Today I'd like to talk about a topic that is particularly important to you if you're an entrepreneur or small or medium-sized business owner trying to expand your business through dealings and conversations with other people. And that topic is the NDA, or non-disclosure agreement. I have in front of me some notes, so you'll see me scrolling down from time to time, and I've prepared a few areas of interest and importance that you should consider when it comes to the NDA. First of all, what is the NDA? You might have heard of it in regards as to the celebrity context of whether it's individuals or companies, the mega companies, the Coca-Colas of the world, when confidential information is breached and the NDAs are breached. But what you might not be aware of is that the NDA, or non-disclosure agreement, is particularly important to you as an entrepreneur or small or medium-sized business owner aiming to grow your organization, your corporation, whatever it may be, and doing so through divulging confidential information. In today's competitive landscape, confidential information and protecting it is becoming increasingly important. When it comes to the mega companies or the celebrities that you might have heard the NDA come up in terms of that context, these people can sometimes have large teams of accountants and lawyers that you might not have on the smaller spectrum of being a small business or an entrepreneur or a startup. So it's all the more important that you are well measured with your resources, trying to put agreements into place at the beginning of certain conversations or business relationships you might be trying to establish, so that you can protect yourself as much as possible, as early on as possible. Now, I'm just scrolling down here. There's various kinds of NDAs. Some protect the disclosing party, some protect the party that's receiving the information, and this should not be an NDA that you should be hoping to get into. If you are the disclosing party, you should definitely seek legal advice to ensure that your interests as a disclosure are as best protected as possible. And there's also NDAs that are mutually beneficial. If there are multiple parties disclosing information to each other that they wish to be and remain protected. There are a few key sections that go into the NDA, but one that might be of particular importance as you watch this video, you might be thinking, well, how can I protect myself? What are the financials, consequences I could go after the other party for if they go and breach this NDA? You could certainly put a damages section in the NDA, which puts a fee, a certain amount that you will be pursuing should another party breach or violate the terms of your NDA. You can also leave this section more broadly worded to allow yourself flexibility to better gauge damages at the time that they arise, should they arise. And this approach may or may not be more strategic depending on how clear an understanding you have of the information you're dealing with, the information you're divulging, and how detrimental and damaging it might be to you as an entrepreneur or small or medium-sized business should this information be shared outside of what you've agreed to on the four corners of your NDA. A question we've been asked before here at Graphene is, well, do I really need an NDA if I will eventually end up signing some sort of agreement with the other party that may or may not have some sort of confidentiality section? Now, Some agreements, depending on the sophistication of the parties, depending on the goodwill of the parties, you could be dealing with template agreements, you could be dealing with poorly drafted agreements, you could be dealing with all sorts of agreements that don't really further your interest. And the same would go for the confidentiality section within that agreement. What's more is that agreement that you might have heard, the final contract of a conversation you might have heard being signed, that's something that you are not likely to sign with every potential partner you speak to, right? Because for reasons that I'll be happy to discuss in another video, coming to a final agreement or a final contract between two parties implies that there's been some meeting of the minds, that some key terms have been really ironed out. But what happens to that blind spot between first reaching out to a party you're interested in doing business with, or a party that you're interested to have buy your business, and that conversation never pans out? You never make it to the final agreement or the contract. That blind spot is one that the NDA tries to tie together, and certainly one that we have lots of experience working with here at Graphene, not only with entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized businesses, but also with larger corporations. However, I mentioned the entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized businesses and business owners and operators in this video because I've come to see that that's an area where the NDAs are really needed to cover certain blind spots that might occur in the realm of conversations that you might be having as one of those parties. I have here a list of certain circumstances where an NDA might be particularly valuable. And I've shortlisted 5 situations. There could be more depending on the context. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that in every single one of these situations, every time you need, that strict NDA. This is a best judgment situation, and certainly that judgment will be far better should you go and seek legal advice in making those decisions and shaping that judgment to be the best it can in terms of the conversations you're having. The 5 situations that I've shortlisted. One is anytime you're dealing with any sort of IP that your business has, that your business is working with someone else on, that your business is sharing with someone else. IP and confidential information is one of the biggest topics in the legal world today. It is fairly a new area, and we see a lot of fast progress in these areas of the law in terms of intellectual property and confidential information and how they're protected and safeguarded. And the rules and regulations here change all the time. But what doesn't change is that this information can be tapped and dispersed very quickly, which makes it extremely important that you have as strong a handle as you can in terms of who you're sharing the information with. Another situation is when you are sharing confidential or proprietary information with employees. This situation is one of those where I was mentioning the best judgment before. Not every employee you might have will necessarily be privy to confidential information or proprietary information. If you're dealing with some sort of designs or some sort of financials or a proprietary formula or process of manufacturing, whatever the case may be, a food item you're working on, a food service you're working on, an algorithm you're working on, there is such a long list of what could comprise confidential and proprietary items and informations within your business. And employees that are privy to this information should most definitely be signing an NDA so that you are protected, that the information they're accessing is not shared with anyone while they're working for you and even after they have stopped working for you, whatever the reason of having stopped may be. Another situation I have shortlisted is when you are dealing with potential investors or potential partners. It is very unlikely that a serious partner that you're dealing with in trying to grow your business financially is not going to want to have a very thorough look at your financials. However, your financials can be one of the most confidential items that your business has that umbrella over in terms of confidentiality and in terms of private information. So of course you might have to share this information with a potential partner or investor, but you should be sharing it in a way that assures you as much as possible that what you've shared will not be inappropriately divulged in case the agreement doesn't go through, in case you don't actually end up partnering, in case they don't ultimately decide to invest. You should always aim to protect yourself as much as possible, regardless what the outcome of a certain conversation is, right? That is kind of one of the main points of the NDA, that regardless of what happens to the parties after we've looked at each other's confidential information, or after they've looked at your confidential information, you're still protected, even if we never make it to that final contract stage, which should definitely have further confidentiality clauses within it. Of course, depending on the circumstance, but the good rule of thumb is you should be looking at multiple rounds of confidentiality as your business grows, as your business relationships grow. Another circumstance I have here is one when you are receiving services from a company that is accessing information. A really good example here, and information, of course, again, confidential information, proprietary information. A good example here would be if you have IT services that you've outsourced and they come to you once in a while. They take care of your softwares, they take care of your cloud databases, wherever your information is stored. Or if you have the bookkeepers and they're accessing all of your financials, how much you bring in, who you do business with, how much you pay out. These are pieces of information you should aim to have secured and do your best to have them be as secure as possible. The fifth scenario I have here is when you are sharing your business information with prospective buyers. Depending on your business, depending on the buyer, you won't only be looking at sharing the financials in the case of the investors we mentioned earlier, but also you could be looking to share certain secrets, certain IPs, certain trade secrets, right? To really convince the other party that this formula you have going on or this algorithm of yours is really that special sauce that should make it so that they want to buy your business. But the second you think that you will come to sharing this information, you should right there be thinking of an NDA and how are the words that are coming out of your mouth and the information you're sharing via email or fax or whatever the case may be, how is this information shared? I want to take a pause there because we've gone over why the NDA is important to you as an entrepreneur or small or medium-sized business or owner. We've gone over, the kind of blind spots that the NDAs cover and 5 really very commonplace situations that might arise in the course of your business or your venture that should have you thinking of an NDA. NDAs are not industry specific. You can be in healthcare, you can be in fashion, you can be in finance, in real estate, in food and dining industry, in the manufacturing industry, certainly in the IT and the tech industry. And chances are you will have something that is confidential and or proprietary to your business, to your thoughts as a business owner, to your processes that you should be looking to protect. And it's never a good idea to allow the other party you're speaking with a blind spot or a reason to think that they can share something just because you didn't make it explicit that they couldn't. And that's what the NDA does. It makes it explicit. And having a good, reputable party on the other side will make it so that they will respect the NDA you have in place in terms of you approaching them with one. It's not something that should make a good potential business partner shy away from talking to you or reluctant to sign. All you're trying to do is protect yourself and the business you've either worked hard to grow and develop, or the business you're working hard to launch and grow and develop. I hope this video has been helpful to you. At Graphene, we have an abundance of experience with NDAs and non-disclosure agreements for the various industries I touched above and probably additional industries as well. I hope this video helped you understand why you need to be thinking of NDAs if you're an entrepreneur or a small or medium-sized business owner. I find that sometimes with the entrepreneurs or small or medium-sized business owners, you're really thinking as to cost, and will an NDA be the most cost-efficient thing? Can I just not have this conversation with a buddy that I trust or a colleague that I trust? You know, what if we just deal with this conversation quickly and we sign off on it and everything is good? The NDA will always be something that can help you sleep better at night as a business owner or operator, and it is a definitive piece of legal matter that you can point to and take, you know, some comfort in. It is more likely that the NDA will be of tremendous value should something go wrong, should some information of yours be divulged inappropriately, than had you not done the NDA in the first place. If you require help with an NDA, you want to put in place with another party you're dealing with, whether it be an investor, a buyer, a partner, or even an employee, please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at Graphene. We're very comfortable working with the NDAs. I mentioned previously we have the experience working with the NDAs, and quite frankly, we're a big proponent of them, and we see the value for them, which will better help fuel our process in terms of working together and helping you come to that non-disclosure agreement you feel comfortable sharing with another party in the first place, and that you subsequently feel comfortable sharing information with the other party based off of. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I tried to pack as much information as I could in here for you guys. Certainly we'll be keeping on with these videos here at Graphene and also our blog posts. And of course, you can reach out at any time, info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. You can book an appointment on our website, graphenebusinesslaw.ca. And you can always text us 647-466-5985. Thank you and have a great day. And do remember the importance of an NDA next time you open yourself up and your business matters and affairs up to another party. Thank you.